I find it funny when I get a lot of new followers who are subjectivists, because subjectivism is a stinky poo-poo doo-doo ideology, and you can quote me on that. I think it's because unfortunately there are a lot of objectivists who ignore the importance of introspection, and a lot of subjectivists think that acknowledging that importance is subjectivism, which it is not. Acknowledging your own bias and trying to become a more objective person is objectivism. And so ultimately subjectivism is a bizarre ideology where we say, well, truth is subjective, as if that's a statement of objective truth. Like, no, that can't be the conclusion. We instead have to walk this awkward line where the conclusion has to be that objective truth exists and it is knowable, but how do we get there since we are fallible beings? Well, why I think I get mislabeled as a subjectivist is because I choose a controversial answer, which is rather than trying to avoid the fact that we are biased, let's just steer right into it. Because the answer is not, well, I can be objective because of my ability to reason. The answer is not, well, I can be objective because of my religion, because God has told me what the truth is, and I can just ignore my lustful desires and follow his will. And that's because this is the same problem that internet subjectivists run into. They try to tell us objective reason is not possible by virtue of objective reason. Here, perhaps conversely, you are trying to tell me, well, we can escape our biased judgment through our biased judgment. And so call this hedonistic, but the answer is not to fight your own desires, it is the exploration of your own desires. The first step in having honest conversations with others is having an honest conversation with yourself. It is acknowledging, I am not a rational person. I think these things are true because I want them to be true. I do these things because I want to do them. Then and only then, when you have examined yourself, can you actually step outside of yourself. Because there's one important question that leads to ego death, which in turn leads to an objective mind. Once you acknowledge, okay, I want these things, the question becomes, well, why do I want them? And if I want this thing, but I also want this thing, but I can't have both, which do I want more? You can take that line of reasoning and, for example, apply it to morality. I may want what my neighbor has, but if I take his stuff, then he has no reason to not take my stuff. And apply this to logic to get a very classical dialectical approach. I want this thing to be right, but if this line of reasoning proves that something I don't want to be right is right, then I have to change my line of reasoning. And if I can't find a line of reasoning that says this thing is right and that thing is wrong, then I have to accept that this thing is wrong if I want that thing to be wrong. And I know that sounds like it shouldn't get us to objective truth because we never really resolved the issue of our own bias, but that's like saying that straight edges and rulers don't exist because, well, we would have needed straight edges and rulers to make them. I mean, think about that. Like, how do we approximate the square root of a number? It's irrational. It never ends. It can't be written as a neat proportion of two numbers. Well, we just approximate it. That's the answer. And so that begins with a question, not an answer. That does not begin with thinking that you are reasonable or believing that your religion will show you the truth. Your religion very well may be true, but since you are you, your search for the truth begins at you and goes to the truth, not the other way around.